Now, I want to introduce the vendors, Angela. Yay. And Greg. Yay.
Thank you, Carrie. That was awesome. Miss Heather, how's Mason doing?
I know.
He's doing okay? Okay.
Okay, just so you know, if you ever wondered, like, what does a stingray sting look like 9 months later? Still have.
Where's your, oh, right there?
Right
Yeah. So it was, my shoe was kind of on there, but that little dark mark, like, still there. I'm like, I guess that happens when you're over 45. Like,
Hey, Christy, can you grab the lights, please?
hi.
We're so glad you're here.
We are so glad
It's finally starting to warm up. Thank
Greg's so
goodness. So sick of this cold weather.
Yeah, he's
Lovely.
super happy with the warm weather.
Super pleased with it.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, when we moved from Minnesota, where our blood was actually thicker, to
Much
Florida,
thicker.
when it was so hot, our first summer, Greg had it so cold, and of course Darby was a newborn at that point in time, so I didn't see her toes, like, ever, because they were in socks. Like, I realized, like, I missed her whole entire, like, infancy toes because they were in socks the entire time, because our house was so cold that when I opened the door for, like, the UPS guy, literally condensation, like, would billow out in a cloud because of the temperature difference. And the guy would be like, whoa, your cooling bills must be really high. It was like freezing in our house. But now my husband has become a whole different creature. I don't even know who you are with this whole cold weather thing.
I like hot weather.
Yeah, he likes the heat now.
So I learned something today coming down the mountain from Flagstaff. And that is, if you don't want to get a speeding ticket, make sure Nikki is behind you praying the entire way.
Or don't speed.
As you are going 20 to 25 miles over the speed limit and pass a cop with a radar gun.
Right at you. Right at you.
He was hiding good. You saw him too.
You're doing 80, it was no big
80
deal.
is no big deal. 97, 98, that's a different story.
Woo. Okay. So you guys know that one of the things that is happening in my life is gratitude. Did I show my card? Did everyone see my card?
You showed the card.
Everyone saw my card. Saw this in the store, and I hate mnemonics, but I like this one. So for those
this
of
is
you
not
who missed
necessarily a mnemonic.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Gratitude.
Yes.
Okay, anyway.
It could be a mnemonic device, but it's
Anywho,
not in and of
I don't
itself
like
is
the
not
cards
mnemonic.
that are like joy, you know, Jesus, others, you, yeah. Okay, we're not taping it, right? So anywho, sorry.
Oh, we're taping it.
Anyway, don't love that. But anyway, I love mine. I'm going to share it again, just in case you missed it or didn't write it down for yourself. I love this because I felt like the Lord was so speaking to me about gratitude, and I like this one. It said, G, giving thanks, refreshing the spirit, appreciating the little things, thinking positively, identifying goodness. Y'all know how I am about goodness. Treasuring each moment, uniting in kindness, delighting in laughter, and expressing joy. So I thought we'd I know, and that's so good. I just love this. So I thought we'd take a moment and share something that we're grateful for. And I was trying to think of something kind of off the beaten path of like gratitude. And last night I was watching with some friends my favorite movie ever, Legend of Bagger Vance. So love, and a scene came up that is Charlize Theron and Matt Damon talking on a bench, and I said, this is our marriage. Like, this scene right here epitomizes our marriage, which is basically her saying, I came over here to apologize to you, but you're doing so badly that I don't really know what to say except for that I'm sorry, but it's not my fault. And so, like, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's, so regularly, at least once a week, we say to each other, I'm sorry, but it's not my fault, clearly, whatever happened. And so what my thankful thing that I'm thankful for is that we have gotten to a place in our relationship where we can be in a really serious fight, and then all of a sudden we will just look at each other and start laughing. And there was like, I don't know, 10 years at least, and since our anniversary is coming up this week, what year are we on? 16? 15, 14, 17? Yes, okay, sorry. Clearly I'm the romantic and 17, really? 17.
Just a simple mathematician is all I
Crazy.
am.
That's true. Anywho, that we can have a really serious fight, and then all of a sudden we just look at each other and start laughing, like, because it's just, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So that's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for laughing in the middle of a really serious fight. That's my gratitude. So I would love to hear from you all if you have a gratitude.
I'm grateful I didn't get a speeding ticket today.
So great. Thank you, Nikki May and Jesus, and maybe a malfunctioning gun. Not sure. Super grateful. Maybe we're going so fast he knew he couldn't catch up with us. I don't know.
He said, "Oh, I can't catch that minivan."
Yeah, that's right. That minivan is way too fast for me. Okay, who has a gratitude they want to share? Yay, good. That's right.
I'm grateful that my daughter is in town visiting from Oregon.
Yay!
So, yeah, she couldn't make it right now, but she's here.
Oh, we're so glad.
I am grateful. So last week we did like words for our week, and mine was enjoy, and my kids would really like day camp, and I thoroughly enjoyed my week, except for the part when I worked too much and I hurt my back. But and my kids enjoyed their time, and there was a couple of times where I was like paranoid that they had strep throat, and I even had my husband to come home from work so I could go enjoy myself. Which is, I'm grateful for my husband who did that and took him to urgent care because I really thought they had strep throat, and like God was just like, this is your week, enjoy it, like your kids are fine. And so I stopped freaking out about them getting sick because I was really afraid they were going to get sick and I was going to have to stay home with them, and that would be terrible.
Yeah, and this was your first week ever with all of them gone. So just so y'all know, she's not peddling her kids Carrie has one, and yeah.
I just took an incredible hike yesterday, and just being out there and smelling the pines and seeing the blue sky and the mountains, there's just something about that. Just fills me up. Yeah.
Yay.
Just so grateful.
Super cool. Yay.
I'm grateful for my wife, but I'm grateful for these little superpowers that she has that you don't realize that she's got. One of them is shopping with discounts. So we're at a wedding next to the outlet malls, and we literally said we have an hour to kill. Let's go to the outlet malls. I never go shopping. We got hundreds of dollars of stuff for like $25. She just gets up there to the register and she starts pulling out like these ninja moves and stacks all these discounts. And I was like, dang girl, you know what you're doing up here. So I was just very impressed.
That is impressive, and I'm impressed.
The clerks
that you're
were
impressed.
like, dang, like that's impressive.
That's awesome. Did you want to comment on that, Lynn?
I'm just going to say you have to spend money to save money. That's the rule.
That's the rule.
It's impressive when you're a 5 and resources are limited. That's his love language.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Well, I guess I could go.
Yeah.
Since I'm here. I'm really grateful for coming into this season. I'm really starting to dream again with the Lord, and it's been a minute. I'm really grateful for that.
That's so good. Heather's going to go.
Since we're right here,
Yeah, we're right here.
I'm grateful for the week at the beach with my boys.
Yay!
It was really good, and even though, we drove my old 04 Pilot, and the engine light came on and a couple other lights, and I'm like, Bessie, just get us home, and we're here, and I'm still driving it, but the lights are on. But I'm like, Lord, please, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to road stuff, but he kept us safe, and I actually didn't drive at all the whole time.
Oh.
Like my boys did all the driving when we were there and back and forth.
And did you have a wonderful time?
We had a wonderful time, except we had 10 minutes of sun the entire week. And cold.
Oh.
It was cold. But it was still good. It was still to get away, and we had really good times together. So grateful.
I'm so glad.
Grateful all around, yeah.
That was so good. Glad to hear it.
I'm grateful that no one got hurt. We didn't have to take them to the hospital this weekend with no adults.
With no adults. Yes. I'm super grateful for that too. Super grateful.
You know, Heather, if those lights on your dash come on, if you leave them on long enough, they'll burn out, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
The fact that my husband's actually joking about this is pretty miraculous, because the whole entire concept makes him have Oh, I'm cracking up that you're laughing about it. Okay.
I am overwhelmingly grateful for the relationship that I have with my kids.
Good kids. So good.
Who are awesome.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Sammy.
I am grateful for amazing, wonderful friends and family that we get to laugh together until our stomachs and faces hurt.
I know, right? And dumb dad jokes that are awesome. Also, super good. Dan. Anyone else want to share?
I'm really grateful about how courageous and brave my son was
Yes.
to go to his very first volleyball match, having never met the coach, never met the team, got out there.
Yep.
4 overhand serves over the net.
Over the net. Yay.
I don't think I was ever brave enough to do that, so.
Super. Yeah, he's a good kid. All right.
God guts.
Yeah. So we are going to release kiddos, but I'm thinking about our time, Christine, just wondering if you would like to, what you would like to do today. Would you like to stay and they can play? Okay, so we're going to send all the kiddos with Miss Jasandra. And we're going to send all the kids, unless you want to stay for the lesson, you're welcome to stay. Olders, these 2 olders.
You need to ask Mr. Sandra first, if that's okay.
What is the question? Oh yeah, she's in charge. She'll take care of it. Okay. So this weekend, some of us in our community spent some time together, and one of the things that we shared was we started with the question of what is something that you want? Something you want from the Lord. That can't be like an ice cream cone, but something you want. Something that has been challenging in your life. And we shared that, and then we shifted that question from what is something you want, well, into the next place. And we're going to process actually a little bit of that. So I was wondering if someone who already shared this weekend one of the things that they want, if they would go ahead and share and start us off. And then those of you who haven't participated in this yet, if you'll just think about it, you can get a card out of your bucket and write it down. It's something that you want. And it can be, it doesn't have to do anything with God. If you're like, hey, you know what, God and I aren't really talking right now, that's cool. It can just be a personal thing for you and yourself. So that's good too. Something you want. Everyone have cards and pencils and pens and whatnot? Okay, so who would like to share?
I'll share something.
Excellent.
I'll have agreement.
Yeah, I'll have agreement with you. I know, right? Okay, so Christy is going to share. He doesn't like to walk too far from the board once the markers come out. He feels like his space is being encroached upon. Yeah. Okay. I love you so much. Every part of you.
Trust you.
And
Just not with
white, not with markers. Okay. All right. Thanks.
So I want face-to-face relationship with Jesus for our kids, all of ours.
Thank
to
you.
include encounter, for it to be constant and consistent and sustaining.
Yeah. So that was super spiritual and good. I'll just counter that with mine, which was I want to be thin. I also had other things I want to, but one of my big things is, and I was like, healthy? I don't know. That could come or go. I mean, yeah, deep in my heart I want, but that was just so you know, like kind of there was a range of things that we all wanted. And I was like, Lord, I have been up, I have been down, I have gained and lost, like 40, 50 pounds at a time, multiple times in my life. I'm so fed up with this. So hers was super awesome and giving for others and spiritual, and mine was not so much. I also had another one on my list, but just so you know, there's like, the whole range is open. Okay, anyone want to jump in who did or didn't share that already this weekend? Excellent. Yes.
I want contentment professionally, what I do professionally.
Yeah. Can you give us a little of the background on that? Because that was really powerful, I thought.
Yeah. Which part exactly?
You just kind of, yeah,
the powerful
part.
okay, I'll skip
your
the
story.
other stuff.
your story on like how that came a little bit to be? You don't have to tell too much, but just a little bit of like, why is contentment something that you don't already have?
Well, you know, I do things professionally that I enjoy, but I put myself into, and I think this is patterns of behavior, I put myself into situations where I get frustrated real easily. And some of it comes from my past and watching my parents navigate, and especially my dad navigate his professional life.
Yeah.
And not wanting to repeat some of his mistakes. And so, so I end up kind of backing off of what I should do, and I end up doing more of what's comfortable, and then I get frustrated.
Yeah.
And then rinse and repeat.
Right? Been there, done that. That's so good. So contentment was what you were looking for. Anyone else who wants to jump in and share? Yeah, Taylor. Excellent.
I would like a quality soccer season with a quality team.
Yay. Okay. I want that for you too, baby. That's good. All right. Anyone else? So in order to move on, you need to have a thing. So for yourself, let's take like 60 seconds and we'll just check our hearts and go, what, you might have a list of 5 things. What are some things I want? Okay, you guys got something? Or things? And you can add to this, because what I want us to do is, over the next week or two, I want us to really delve into, what do I do with the prophetic words that we get here? What do I do with past words that God's given me? How do I engage with that? And how do I engage with the dreams of my heart? You know, because a lot of us, we have these things we want, and then we don't really know where to go with them. And then we kind of, you know, one day turns to the next, which turns into months, and then God does some things and circumstances change and we change, and we're like, wow, I have peace that I didn't have before. Or I used to struggle with anger and I don't struggle with anger anymore. But we're wanting to learn how to be intentional people who are powerful. And we've been doing a series on vulnerability and overcoming shame, and I think this is a perfect time to kind of get more intentional about the desires of our heart and how to really operate powerfully in vulnerability and creativity and courage. So one of the things that you can do with the thing that you want is ask yourself this question: is this something for me, or is this something for someone else? So, is the outcome dependent on somebody else? If the outcome is dependent on somebody else, that's okay, but you need to come back and give yourself one more piece, which is, what part of this thing that I want is not dependent on anyone else? So, for example, I want a thriving marriage. Well, it takes 2 to create a thriving marriage. So what piece can I come back to talk to the Lord about that I want, that has nothing to do with other people's choices? Because we sometimes get confused about trying to set goals, right, that have a lot of things to do with other people. And so coming back to what we can handle in and with ourselves is helpful, while still standing for the growth and development and overcoming of other people. So does that make sense? So what that means in terms of declaring over our lives or prophetic words is we get really clear on what part is ours and then what part is an expression of our partnership with God. So often the people group, so Lindsay mentioned this weekend, you mentioned, Lindsay, that you have a passion for teenagers and kids in that age where they're questioning everything. Like you love that season in kids' lives because you're like, that's like the best conversations, right? Young adults. So, yeah, young adults. So for her, that's not her territory. That's not the thing she wants. It's the expression. So your people group is often your expression. So when you come back and look at what it is that you want. So do you mind if we talk about yours for a second, Kristen? Okay. So for Christy's, she said she wants face-to-face, right? Was it intimacy with God for the kids in our community, which I so want that too, and I love that you want that too. Like, it's so fantastic. So her expression is the kids in our community. But the thing that you're wanting is face-to-face intimacy, right? And so as we want for other people, so we have for ourselves. So you could, if you wanted to, come back and go, this is the territory that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about face-to-face intimacy. I'm passionate about conversational relationship with God. So that would be your territory. Your expression would be the people group that affects. I want that for my family. I want that for youth. I want that for all Americans. I want that for my extended family. Does that make sense? Okay. Then when you get clear on what part is yours, so put like you. Like,
I already put
I know you did.
Part of this is up to myself.
Yeah. Yep, you did. I still want you right here.
All right.
Yep, thank you, and big. I want you put your head right here and stay right there. Okay, excellent. Once you can clarify, so does everybody have a part of their thing that has to do with them? Okay. Oh, it's a smiley face.
Territory and expression.
Yeah, so your territory has to do with you. And the reason I use the word territory, and that might be confusing for people, but how I picture that is it's a space of ourselves that we are wanting to become a victor in. So for mine, if I were to rephrase mine would be, really, I want to overcome food addiction. Truly, that's what it is. And the other area that I mentioned over this weekend was I want mental health. So I want mental health for other people, but the thing that has to do with me is that I'm wanting to establish mental health within myself. Right? So you come back to the area that has to do with you, and I use the language of territory. That's the territory you're wanting to win within yourself, because it's very difficult to have authority with other people when you haven't won that authority within yourself. So you're wanting God to give you an authority that is established in you, and then that is an overflow. It flows over into other people's lives. How many of us have been on the receiving end of somebody's help, support, advice, counsel, where they were trying to give you something that they themselves didn't own? Right? How many of us have been an employee of somebody who was trying to teach us how to do something they didn't own? Super no credibility, right? Super challenging, because they really weren't able to open up the kind of magical transference that happens when you own that territory yourself and you're sharing with someone else. How many of us have a parent who wanted things from us? Darby, no, I'm just kidding. You can totally raise your hand on this one. How many of you have a parent who are asking you to behave and do things in certain ways that they themselves cannot do themselves? Right?
Well, she totally looked at me.
Right? There's a whole lot of apologies that parents have to make to their kids, right? Because they themselves haven't established within themselves the things that they want for their kids. Right? It happens. Some people call that hypocrisy. It's not. It's we're all learning. So as long as a parent can be honest about it. But when we're talking about walking in authority, when we're talking about being powerful people who are creative and courageous and overcomers, We can't talk about stuff. We are releasing the victory that we already have. As God has done for us, he wants to do it again, right? Which is the very definition of testimony. What God has done for us, he wants to do again. So if you are wanting to see something for other people, God's wanting to establish it with you first. So then the next question that you're going to want to ask yourself is, what part of the thing that I want really reflects God's nature? Or does the very thing I want reflect his nature? So for example, Jared's thing about contentment, that is God's nature. So God's nature is, right, contentment, satisfaction, peace, positivity, hopeful. There's a whole, so I would like for everyone to grab another card if you need it. And I want you to put on your territory, your area that's about you, what parts of God's nature am I actually pressing in for? And then, which one did you say, Sammy? You said love. So Sammy was talking about love this weekend. What part of this territory is really God's nature? So take a couple of minutes, and then I want to hear back. Does anybody have a question at this point? Because I saw the look on Dan's face, I'll just be honest. Do you have a question? No? Okay. I love this. Okay, so who wants to share on theirs? Okay.
So mine was peace, just the thing that I, territory that I want to have. And so what part reflects God's nature? God is the Prince of Peace. He's represents calm amidst the storms, like when he was in the boat and he was peaceful even when there was a storm. And then when after he'd risen from the dead, he said multiple times, peace. They were afraid. So I think he is a God who gives peace when you're afraid. And then the last one was, oh no, I think that's it. Yeah, I was just writing. I need to do word study on this. Yeah.
Right?
Which would be really cool. Yeah, just to see all the ways that he is peace, and how his nature is peace, and how he brings peace, and how he is peace. He actually is peace. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you start looking at what God's nature is in this, which is easy on peace, if you're going, I want to live in and establish and have peace established in me, so much so that I have an overflow of peace that pours out. What often happens, hang on, sorry, I'm just listening in the moment. Remember when we talked about the garden, how our life is kind of like a garden, and we get to set up boundaries around ourselves for who we allow access to the fruit of our garden? And the fruit of our garden is all of our resources. It's our money, it's our home, it's the food that we have, but it's also our emotional resources, so our peace, our contentment, our creativity. And we often let people into our garden to take of our resources that we shouldn't. That's not healthy. We do it because we think we should, and we allow it to happen, and then we feel what? Robbed, bitter, angry, and we find ourselves behaving in ways that are embarrassing. Why? Because we're a bad person? No, because we didn't establish appropriate boundaries, and our emotional response to that is a warning to us to tell us to reestablish boundaries. So when we're talking about peace here, you're wanting to get to a place where you have so much peace, you've cultivated so much peace that it just overflows. And you'll find that if you're struggling with peace, you may also be struggling with certain boundaries and going, oh, I am actively in my life every day participating in things that rob my peace. That's not always true, but it's a question to ask. It's a question to ask. So your next question would be, what? That's invisible? I'm sorry, I know I'm writing. Well, you want to come up here, babe? I know there's black, but come, let's be colorful. What?
I like black.
You like black? Okay, thanks, Lynn.
It's a good color.
Thanks for the backup on that. What is, what's a good word for, like, what's taking this away? What's against this? What's robbing? Okay? So, robbing. Or challenging this area of my life. So you can start looking at your schedule. Like, for example, I get super rejuvenated spending time with people. So people don't, aww. So that doesn't steal my, that doesn't deplete my peace. But Greg is a different temperament. And he gets rejuvenated by being alone. A lone, lonely loner.
That's a lot of alone.
That's a lot of aloneness. So, did anybody name the movie? Okay, never mind. So,
Ice Age.
Ice Age. Yeah, I know. Kids movies. Almost of our life is kids movies right now. But anywho, so for Greg, if he spends all of his time with people, this isn't a lack of God's nature in his life. It's scheduling questions. So, asking this question, you know, what's robbing or challenging this in my life? Are there patterns in your relationship that are countering this quality in your life? Are there habits or decisions that you make? So, kind of outlining some of that will be helpful. So, what is the thing you want? Everybody got that? What part of God's nature is this? Well, it's easy, it's peace. And then the really fun thing, do you mind using something you can put here? One way to explore God's nature, or even the nature of humanity, on this whole want is Scripture. You can have scriptures. Yep, Scripture. Songs. Word searches, like studying what the word means. So studying the different types of love would be a helpful way to explore and have this conversation more with the Lord. Exploring histories of words can kind of unlock it. You got to black. You just can't. You can't. No, it's the man in black. Okay. What are other ways that kind of stimulate thinking on that particular area? Oh, sorry. Oh, Lindsay was wanting to share? Perfect.
Conversations with people that you trust.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Conversations with people that you trust and find wise.
Yep.
Like Greg Bender.
I know, right? So good conversations. And then what? Prophetic words, right? We have a whole host of prophetic words that people have spoken in our lives that have content in them that don't reflect anything that we are right now. In fact, oftentimes we might get a word about something and our life looks the opposite of it, right? And so then the Lord is challenging us, going, I want to show you who you really are and where you're really going, and give you a picture of who you really are. So what is robbing or challenging? Anybody want to comment on their particular want and then what's robbing or challenging them in that area? Yep. Sammy.
My want is true love in all of my relationships. And what is robbing me of that, I feel, is like when people unintentionally or intentionally hurt me and use my resources without or to depletion.
Yeah. And then you shared something really, really beautiful. So that's one thing when people have, so what? What's robbing you of it? Wounds. Wounds of the past, patterns or habits today are things that can rob it. And then you shared something that the Lord showed you about love. Do you mind sharing that? It's okay, you can say no.
Which one? Last night or this morning?
This morning.
This morning?
You said if what? Yeah, the powerful thing. The powerful. Okay, I'm just going to share on your behalf. How's that? Does that sound good? Okay. Clearly it was more powerful for me than it was for you, but no, I'm just kidding. She shared something about, she goes, if I were to experience real love in all of my relationships, it might challenge my right to be
right.
My right to be right. Was that last night? My right to be right.
Yeah.
So what you can put in here, babe, you better get back up here. There's some marker needing to happen here. So wounds of the past. I want you to put this on your list. You guys got